back to the Purple Podcast. This is episode 7 now, and we have a guest, a reoccurring guest actually now. This is Dana Bender on her second appearance on the Purple Podcast, correct?
Yes, correct. Second appearance.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. And how are y'all doing at home? Thank you for listening again. But how are y'all doing at home? It's a Monday. It's Christmas week Monday, so a little better than the rest, you could say. So I just wanted to get back out here, check in with you all again on a Monday, see how everything's going. I guess this will be coming out more on a Tuesday, but we'll try to get it out late this night. We have some Monday Night Football, the Bears and the Vikings. Who you taking in that one?
I think I want to see the Bears win, but I think the Vikings might win.
I definitely want to see the Bears win. I think it would be hilarious. We have a buddy who's at the game, and he's a very big Vikings fan, so it'd be pretty funny if they were to lose and he was at the game. He's already seen them lose to the Bengals earlier this year.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Wasn't it overtime?
Yeah, it was over. Wasn't it like a double overtime?
I don't know. No, there's no double overtime in the pros. It's just a tie.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a college game then.
Yeah. Well, anyways, before we get kind of into the main point of today's episode, I just wanted to touch on something that's really spooky, pretty crazy. Seeing it was all over social media today. Did you see that, like, fentanyl is now the number one cause for death in people aged 18 through 45?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so now 18 through 45, that is the leading cause of death in Americans. 79,000 people this year. So really spooky because, I'm not someone who tells people what to do and what they can do and what they can't do. I'm never going to play that role, but if it's powder, if it's pills, like anything that can be pressed in that kind of way, it's just scary because you have no idea, So if that's your thing, make sure you're taking care of figuring out. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do. I'm not that person, but I've seen too many people. I know of too many people. It happens all the time. I mean, if someone says like so-and-so died and it's someone kind of in our age group, like 18 to 26, it's like the first thought's overdose, right? Probably no. I kind of think that now.
I don't know if that's my first thought. Maybe I just try and look at, a more positive approach. Not that dying at that age is positive at all, but, maybe I'd like to think that it's not, I don't know. Maybe I think because it's your own choice and you're doing that on your own, decision and choice, that I'd like to think that's not how people die around our age, but again, people make their own decisions. It's unfortunate. Do you find that number to be pretty shocking?
Well, just that it's number one, honestly. I mean, I don't know how many people in this age group die anyways per year. I guess I could have done a little more research. But 79,000 people, and if it's the leading cause for Americans through that age group, which that's a pretty wide range, but still,
I mean, I would say I find it surprising.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. So I'm not going to be that person that's like, just don't do drugs because, newsflash, kids in college and shit, they do drugs.
Not every kid in college
Not
does
every
drugs.
kid, no, but it's people do, period,
yeah.
And it's not going to stop.
But it's also not just kids in college. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
You might have a little more access to it, but that might be how it starts, and then all your access points going forward,
yeah.
And so I don't know. Maybe kids in that age group are, more. I don't want to say open. What's the word I'm looking for? They see it more. It's more in their forefront because
it's more accessible for sure.
Yeah, in college, but maybe that's just how it starts. I don't know.
So anyways, if that's your thing, just be careful. It's out there. It happens all the time now, so it's not even a surprise when you hear it. anymore, just because it's just kind of going around. So, anyways, we'll move on to some lighter things.
Lighter notes.
Just wanted to get that out. But it's Monday. It's Christmas Monday. Christmas coming up, and it is busy. Busy around this time. And you're running out. Dana is going to Buffalo for Christmas.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe not on my own choice. I kind of decided I wasn't going to drive to Buffalo because Austin and I had done that for Thanksgiving. Which for being there for like, plus the drive, you're actually there for probably like 1 or 2 days. It's a pretty long drive. It's 16 hours in total.
Yeah, so just to not be there that long, it's very doable as a drive, but it's not what you want to be doing every month.
I think what we found, and when we took our trip to Florida, it's so much tougher to drive after you go to a whole day of work. It just like you're already so drained from sitting there doing your job all day that, then having to get in and drive 8 hours, or to Florida we drove 10. That's a long haul.
Yeah. So you're flying.
I'm flying.
And then you'll be back. And speaking of jobs, we'll get back around to jobs.
Yeah. In a second. So I'm flying. I fly after work. What is that? Thursday? Yeah. Thursday.
I thought it was Wednesday.
23rd. That's Thursday.
Yeah, that's Thursday.
Yeah. So I fly out around 7:30 and then stay until the 26th till then I have a flight at 5 a.m. So I get back in Louisville around 10 or so. So short trip, but it's always good to see the family, and because Austin came for Thanksgiving and it was just going to be a short trip again, we kind of decided it'd probably be best if he stayed here. And his cousin on the last podcast, Griffin.
Yeah, he'll be back in.
Yeah, he's going to stay with, around Louisville while his family goes down to Florida. So probably better that you're there while he's spending time like.
It's good for you at home as well, team, because there's some planned content coming your way. I think Griffin's going to be back on the mic. No spoilers, but just stay tuned.
Yeah. So, I mean, because you guys go to your dad's side for Christmas breakfast.
In the morning.
Yeah, and that's not Griffin's side of the family. He's on your mom's side. So, probably better that he has, his cousin there, his friend, keep him comfortable instead of just, being on your dad's side. Not that he doesn't get along with them, but, probably better that he has a buddy while he's there.
Yeah, I mean, his parents have left him twice, 2 years in a row, but we're happy to adopt him and make him one of our own, so it'll be a fun time.
Yeah.
So then, right after that weekend, another short week. We get to Thursday, and we're driving to Dallas.
Yeah. Well, you took off Friday, but I had off Friday, so.
I guess you have New Year's Eve off?
Yeah, I have New Year's Eve off.
I do not have New Year's Eve off.
I think my work now does, like, if a holiday falls on a weekend, you either get the Friday or the Monday off, so that works out nicely for our plans in not this week, but next week.
Yeah. For those of you who do not know, one of our good buddies, Desmond Ritter, is the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bearcats, and they will be playing the Alabama Crimson Tide on December 31st in Dallas in the Cotton Bowl. We will be going to that game, but it's going to be a long drive. We got I think 4 of us for the ride there,
5 for the ride back.
5 for the ride back. So we got at least a lot of people we can split the driving up with, because if we had to drive, I don't know if we'd make it again to Florida that one time. After work one day, it was a family vacation. We just wanted to get down to Florida, and we drove down that night after both of us working.
Which is a 10-hour drive. Which
is like 10, 11 hours, yeah.
It's kind of a lot. I mean, maybe to some people that's not too bad, but after work and, it was like just starting to get, it was light dark for very long, so it was dark, and it was just a tough drive. And when you're in Alabama, it goes on forever, and most of the time you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it becomes a pretty difficult drive, I would say.
I think by the time we got there, I'd been up for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle. I was starting to kind of hallucinate, where the road just doesn't even look right when you're driving. You start going cross-eyed.
Yeah, and I drove first, and
yeah,
I think you could tell that's where I was, getting to. So then you picked it up, but at some point you kind of hit that brick wall.
So Dallas, and then once Cincinnati beats Alabama, we'll be going. I guess we would go to Indy. I don't know if we're gonna score tickets for that one. That's where the championship is. It's in Indianapolis, so we'd probably go up to there, and I think it's just a week later.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of trips. I'm going to be broke by the end of it, including Christmas gifts.
Yeah, rough timing on that.
Yeah, so hopefully I get a decent-sized paycheck.
But good time for a new job.
Yeah, I started a new job, I think.
Right. We discussed it on the, I guess, was it the second episode were you on?
Yeah, I already starting my new job or about to?
You had just had your Friday, I think.
My Friday.
Like where you put in your 2 weeks. Or no, you might have just completed your 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think I just ended and then I was starting whatever that Monday was. So I hadn't started yet.
Right.
But yeah, new job.
New job. So for those of you who do not know as well, Dana's from Buffalo. She moved here in the summer after we'd been dating long distance for a little over a year, or about a year at that point.
I thought it was a little under a year. Maybe weren't we together on our 1 year? Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not the best trackers of that. I told Austin that our 1 year 6 month was coming up, and then when I re-looked at the calendar, I realized I was like a month off or two. So we don't keep track of that super well. But yeah, I moved here just under a year, around a year.
So moves here and needed a job. Got a job, and that's when you came after you'd gotten the job.
Yeah, it was one of those things, though, where you had an internship with a job lined up, and, I looked around, and I got 2 offers, and I took one, and it seemed really good at the time, but, as you actually start working and you get out of college, you don't know what you're going to expect.
Right. Well, you had a lot of change going on at that point. So you're moving to a new city, starting a new job.
Like my first big girl job, too. So that was a lot.
And we thought we were going to be able to live in, my parents' basement for
a while, but we soon, and nothing wrong with Austin's parents are wonderful, but, when you're at that age, you you live in an apartment for most of college and a dorm, so you already have your own space, and then to go backwards and live with your parents again, and you did that longer than I did.
And I had already been back for over a year because I went to school in Lexington, the University of Kentucky, and senior year was COVID, so I could take everything online, and it allowed me to be able to take this internship here. So I worked there all school year, and I'm still on now. But anyways, I was home for over a year at that point, and it was regressing. I was like, I need to get the hell out.
I probably, before I moved here, was only living with my parents in Buffalo for a month and a half. So I wasn't doing it as long, but especially when you're in a relationship, we were in we had our whole room in the basement, a living room, bedroom type thing, and eventually it's it is your own space, but
you don't
if you want to go use
the basement.
And if you want to go use the kitchen, someone's usually up there, and it's you just need some alone time. I know when I'm cooking, you might pop in, but that's something that I kind of hold near and dear to my heart and do alone most of the time.
Yeah. So got an apartment very quickly, and
we took our dog with us. As sad as it was for Austin's parents, they love Walker, but we got an apartment.
So then, and you're starting to, you're at least comfortable with your job. You know what your job is at this point, so you've become acquainted to it. The problem is you know that you don't like your job?
I was acquainted. I probably wasn't even close to maybe where some of my coworkers were. I mean, I understood finally. I think initially, so I was doing a logistics job. I was handling freight and moving large freight and just looking into shipments all day pretty much. So I finally understood it, which was really cool. Like, you get to that point where, you know, initially you join a group and you don't exactly know what everything means, but you have a general idea. So I finally had this, like, really good grasp on it. But then, yeah, I realized that a lot of things, you know, I worked Tuesday through Saturday. So I was, you know, maybe hanging out with friends Friday and then, you know, had to cut the night short because I had to work on Saturday morning. You also worked
like an hour later through the week.
Yeah, I started at 10 and then I'd get off at 6 and it just didn't give me a lot of time, you know. You know, it was like coming home and then either I'd go to the gym and we'd eat at 8 or I'd come home and I'd want to make dinner right away because I was hungry or, you know, it's just, or did chores and then we were still eating at 8, so it was just kind of a lot. I don't know. I always try and, like, I guess see a little bit of positive in everything. So I don't know if I hated my job. But for, I guess, the amount I was getting paid to the amount of work I was doing, and sometimes I had to stay later than expected, and that wasn't my favorite thing. I just felt like I wasn't, like,
there were just a lot of no's that were getting checked off. It was like bad hours.
I guess no's.
Bad time, like Tuesday through Saturday. And then, like, the pay, it just wasn't.
Yeah. And, I mean, like, I can say that, you know, and I put in my 2 weeks. Those were the reasons.
And how did that go? That's something we kind of dig into because I'm sure a lot of people haven't necessarily gotten to that. Well, at least in the aspect of their first supposed real job, not like something that they started in high school and it's like, oh, I'm going back to school, like I'm quitting. Like,
when I was in, like, high school, I worked at a Chipotle. Like, it was no big deal for me to leave there. You know, they understood that at some point I'd probably leave, especially because I was in college, so I had, like, bigger aspirations and they knew that. But yeah, I guess I kind of, well, I'd started not necessarily looking, but I would always go on LinkedIn, and then eventually I kind of made the choice to, like, really go for something else.
Right.
And if I got something, I got something. If I didn't, I mean, like, I could have made it work. It wasn't, like, do or die type thing, I guess, but I ended up getting, like, 2 separate job offers and taking the one I have now. And, you know, like, you take this job and you're so excited because, like, it seems like this great opportunity. But, I mean, I remember the second I got off the phone after taking the offer, I was like, no, I have to quit.
Yeah.
And, like, it just sets in and you get nervous and you don't know the right way to go about it. So I remember I spent, like, one night, I went to the library because we don't have a printer in our house, so I went to the library and, like, typed up a resignation letter. I don't know. I think there was something else I had actually typed up. But regardless, I spent a lot of time there. Like, and honestly, like, it seemed like a resignation letter is 1 page.
Yeah.
But, like, it took me a decent time because there's a fine line with, like, saying too much in it.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time on that. And then from the time I accepted the offer to having to put my 2 weeks in, it was, like, 2 days because I was supposed to start my job, you know, that week after. And so it was a whole timing thing. But, you know, at that point, I still hadn't wrapped my head around, like, how I was going to put my 2 weeks in. So, honestly, all I did was just, like, Googled how people go about it in the best way. And that's where I realized that writing a resignation letter, like, it's more personal, and like, as much as it sucks to sit down with your boss and actually have to have the conversation, like, it's more professional, and like, then it's genuine. It's not an email. But then the weird thing came where when I was gonna resign, we had all of our management in that week. So I don't really want to do it in front of like even higher ups than my boss, because that's awkward in itself.
Yeah.
But then when management left, I had a supervisor and a boss, but my boss who had hired me was out of the office that day. So I had scheduled an email to go out to her, and then had mentioned to my supervisor, who is there more often and was like more of a boss to me, I guess. Mm-hmm. Not just based on title, but walked in and said, I'd really like to talk to you. And the night before too, I sent a text kind of saying like, I'd like to set aside some time tomorrow to talk about something with you. And then brought it up right when I got there, because I had an email scheduled to go to the person who hired me, and I didn't want it to come as a surprise. And he kind of was like, well, we'll do it later. But then my boss ended up calling him and just telling him anyways. Yeah. So it was a little awkward, but when I did actually sit down and have the conversation, like, he was more than nice about it. And
it's what's for the better in the end.
So
really,
I guess
it's just hard to rip that Band-Aid off, because it's awkward. It sucks. You feel like you're letting people down to some extent, but at the end of the day, like, you knew it wasn't your fit. Like, it wasn't going to work out.
No, and I guess I more felt bad for like one of my coworkers, because he was taking on everything that he was doing before I got there again, which is a lot. But he was my boss was really nice about it. So as nervous as I was, I probably didn't need to be.
Right.
And I guess for anybody out there who has to do something like that and doesn't know what it's like, it's very nerve-wracking leading up to it. But then, the second I did it,
yeah,
it was like,
it just becomes a conversation.
Yeah, and it was like just a weight off my shoulders. It wasn't like holding me, like, it wasn't over my head anymore, and I didn't have to think about it. And then like, it just became like even just a joke. Like, they'd talk about something they were doing in like the next month, and then be like, oh, well, Dana, you don't have to listen because you're not going to be here or anything. Like, it was funny. But right. And I think Austin joked like on our second podcast that on my last day we had like cupcakes and pizza, and he was like,
they're for you to leave.
They want you out of there. But no, we were really close as a group, but it was just something that I needed to do for myself, and I knew it was going to be better for me. And as of right now, I can say that's true. I really like my job right now.
Yeah,
so
complete 180.
Yeah, I always thought, when you leave work at 5 o'clock, you leave your work and then you're done for the day. But even now, I come home, and if there's something I have to do, I don't feel like it's a job. Like, I'm, anybody's pressuring me to do it. And something great about my company now is they really put this emphasis on work-life balance.
And that's really, in my mind at least, the most important aspect of a job, to be honest, because a lot of it can seem silly sometimes. You need to be able to, your life needs to be your main focus, not your job necessarily.
Yeah.
Because.
And I didn't even know that after I had been accepted the job. I didn't realize they had such emphasis on this work life. I accepted the job based on maybe benefits and pay alone.
You knew hours. It was hybrid though, didn't you? So she can work at home if she needs to as well.
Yeah, I knew that it was hybrid in the sense that I would talk to my boss about days I wanted to work home eventually, and then days I wanted to go in the office. But pretty early on, I had to leave one day because I wanted to, go give our dog a bath, and I left at 3:30, but then I got back on at 4:30 and, finished what I needed to finish. But it's that whole idea of like,
not feeling stuck somewhere.
No one there, my boss and a higher up, his boss, who's in the office with us as well. I mean, unless, you're not doing your job and finishing for the day and doing what you need to get done, they're not gonna, they're not gonna bring it up to you, which is such a different feeling. Like, when you have that freedom, it's almost like you want to do it, which is weird. You would think, or maybe some people think when you have freedom, you kind of can slack off, but I've really found that, like, having that freedom...
I feel like it's the opposite,
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there where when, you let them run free, they're gonna not do their job and slack off and take that time to themselves. And
well, maybe that's me, but I feel like more people are like that as well.
Yeah.
If someone's constantly on you, it's very easy to just, like, then you slack off because you're like, screw this,
Yeah, but I think there is a minority where, you get freedom and you don't want to do your job.
That definitely is a thing as well.
No, I feel like I came home at 3:30 today and I worked until 6 because I could, and I didn't have a lot going on at 3:30, but then the rest of the night I had a lot to do, so...
Yeah.
Needless to say, I really like my job now, and I can probably go on about it for a long time.
Yeah.
But
and if it turns out you don't like it, at least you know how to quit a job now.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm very proud of you for doing that. One, just coming to the realization that something wasn't a fit for you, that something needed to change for you to feel like you were, I guess, fulfilling something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, on the right path. Like, it just wasn't the right fit. So it just threw other things out of whack. There were a lot of things that contribute to that. Like like we said, the hours, the pay. It just...
I mean, also, too, I think, like, that is really hard to do in general. Like, that's something, like, I even struggle with. Like, Austin tries to go to the gym at least 3-4 times a week. I have, like, such a struggle with going, and then I get caught up in all these other things, and that's the last thing that I make a priority. But once you realize you need to make the change and actually do it, that's totally different than just realizing it. So that's like something I even struggle with in day to day, not even just like a job. And that's much harder to like actually sit there and put your 2 weeks in. So
yeah. Well, all right. I think that about does it for the news story. For your job story and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a busy week. It's Christmas week. I'll say once again, then college football is coming to a close. The playoffs for the NFL are closing in as well. How is everyone doing in fantasy football? Wasn't my year this year. I'm in the poop bowl, but we're gonna try to win it. If not, I might be eating a lot of waffles at Waffle House or something. I don't know, or running a milk mile, whatever. And then we'll have March Madness that'll be coming out of nowhere as well. It'll bring us out of the darkness of winter, as I've said before. But anyways, a lot going on. It's gonna be a fun time. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year.
I'm
sure you'll be on before the New Year, but even still,
I'll be back. I might be on before Christmas as well, so I'll tell you Merry Christmas again. It's a whole season.
Should we bring that up too? That we've watched 2 Christmas movies so far.
On the list?
Not even just on the list, but we've gotten into the Christmas spirit. We've watched.
I feel like 2 movies is kind of bad numbers though, so that doesn't make us look very good. But that's all right.
I don't think that's bad numbers.
I've had them on TV a lot Or not really.
Yeah, we had Christmas Vacation on the TV, and
we did catch a little bit of things here and there.
Yeah.
We haven't been the best about it, but we got some more movies coming up. We're gonna watch. I guess you're gonna be gone, so sorry.
Yeah, but we always watch like some sort of Christmas movie at our house. So, and you know, with my sister, she had a baby about a year and a month ago, I guess. But we'll be definitely watching a Christmas movie with her, getting her into that kind of stuff, I guess.
For sure. Well, everybody, we got a Monday Night Football game to watch. Honestly, I don't watch them that often. I might just throw it on and get on my laptop or do something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to let Dana say bye to y'all tonight. Go ahead, Dana.
I don't really know how to do this, but I guess thanks for joining us. Bye, guys. We'll see you in a few days, a day, who knows. But
who knows? Well, all right, everybody. This is your host, Austin Iser. This is the Purple Podcast, Episode 7. Merry Christmas. Love you all. Peace.